Steve Gorman is with us from the Black Crowes. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, sir.
So why am I owed the pleasure of this phone call, sir?
I am in New York City.
What are you doing there?
We have been rehearsing and preparing to hit the road. We actually take off a little later today and fly over to England for the first of the 2013 tour.
That's kind of cool. Hey, do you remember the first time the Black Crowes blew up? I mean, all of a sudden you're getting radio play everywhere and everybody wants you?
I certainly do. We put a record out that we made for next to nothing and had no commercial aspirations for, and started just playing dates. We just took every tour and every gig we could get because we just always wanted to be a live band, and we wanted to go on the road and never come home. And about 6 months into that process, it started snowballing, and we went from, having sold 5,000 copies to have a gold record within a matter of weeks after it had been out for 3 or 4 months, and then it just took off. It just, and this is back when AOR radio was something, and MTV was playing music videos, and people that we least expected to jump on board really got on board, and we had a lot of help getting there.
How old were you at the time?
I was 20. I turned 25 about 6 months after that record came out, and I was the oldest guy in the band by a couple of years.
Right.
We were just a bunch of knuckleheads. I mean, pretty much.
I had no idea what was going on.
None at all. We were living in we were just living in a bubble of our own sort of imagination, and then it all started kind of really happening for us. And, it did get a little out of hand. I mean, like I said, we didn't go into it thinking that would happen, so we had no plan and no preparation for it. And we just sort of tried to ignore it the best we could and just focus on what we were doing as a band. We didn't really look up and take a break and try to take stock of anything for 5 or 6 years. Steve
Gorman, drummer for the Black Crowes, with us. They've got a new digital download and vinyl called Wiser for the Time, exclusively on vinyl and digital, coming out on the 19th. Well, it just came out. So you've got this 26-song digital download that features 15 acoustic and 11 electric songs that were recorded in New York City during 2010.
This is correct.
When you start the new tour, are you going to have any new material?
No. We always wanted to get to the point where we could kind of do what we wanted when we wanted it. So we're going back out. We haven't played in a few years, so we're going to hit the road, and I'm sure we will be working on new material, out there. That's how we've always written when we're on the road together. So, but no, we're going back out right now and just looking back over, we've got enough of a catalog, and, we always add a few new covers to things, and as we're writing songs, we'll start playing them live. That's how we've always done it.
I like that personally. From what I've seen, the best of the bands that play and write live end up finding out which songs work before they put it on an album.
And you really, the way our songs have always worked. I mean, and whether they go over really well to an audience that's never heard it isn't so much the indication, but it's as the song develops and you hear things. You play a song 20, 25, 30 times, you're either constantly tinkering with it or it just sits and it's done. For us, that's kind of how we always determine it. If we've had a lot of songs that we all liked, but we never really felt like they were finished, and you just eventually just kind of scrap them. And then you get some that, the first time you play them, it just makes perfect sense to us and it never changes.
Steve Gorman, drummer for the Black Crowes. Now, a lot of people may not realize this, but in Nashville on ESPN, you do a sports show.
I do. I have a daily sports talk show.
Who did you bracket in to win?
I have Louisville winning, which is, a lot of people. They're the top seeded team in the tournament. But I've been on their train all season. I'm big. I'm not necessarily a Louisville fan, but I like that team, and I thought they were going to do it the whole time. So, and I'm really too lazy to change my mind right now anyway. So I'm sticking with Louisville.
Is there any one time in your life that you look back on and you say, "Yep, that's what made me become a musician"?
Well, there's a couple things. One is when I first, discovered that I loved music, which was so, I'm 4 or 5 years old the first time I noticed I was air drumming to everything and always asking my older brothers to borrow their records. But it never occurred to me that I could do that or that I would do that until I was in college the first time I sat down and played at a drum kit with some friends, But the first time I ever did that, right away I thought, okay, I got to figure out how am I going to drop out of school because, this is what I got to do.
And what did mom and dad say?
They were nonplussed. It just made perfect sense, actually. I think it was sort of I was still young enough to where, if it had been a colossal mistake, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, so truthfully, by the time I came along and thought I'm going to drop out of college and start a band, they were tired. They were just worn out, really, at the end of the day.
Your band has, and you've actually acknowledged this, given a lot of credit to Otis Redding. What was it about Otis Redding?
Well, it's still Otis. I mean, he's a guy that when we were first knocking around as a band, I mean, he's the greatest soul singer ever. That's my opinion. I know that's Chris's opinion. It was one of the artists that when we first met him, we're talking about, we loved. You know, we all were just like, Otis is the man. He's from Georgia. There was always a local flavor to him. And, you know, we never thought about doing an Otis song ever. We were in pre-production and getting ready to make Shake Your Moneymaker, and our producer said, hey, we need to do some B-sides, you know. Let's just pull some covers to do just so we have extra tracks. And he said, you know, you guys love Otis, do an Otis song. And Chris was actually the guy who said, no way, because, you know, a 20-year-old kid singing Otis Redding, I mean, who do you think you are type of vibe. And so it was sort of like, well, no, we'll make it more of a rock version, you know, and kind of change the cadence, make it your own song, because, you know, Chris was intimidated to think I'm going into a studio to do Otis. And obviously it turned out to be a pretty good move.
Well, he was able to pull it together and make it his own, and that was much to his credit. That's a hard thing to do for anyone.
It certainly is.
Well, congratulations! Great speaking with you again, and we're looking forward to seeing you when you're out here on the San Diego.
Hey, thanks, man. We're always looking forward to San Diego. It's a great place.
Steve Gorman, Black Rose.
Beautiful to see you.